Hey there, guys. Welcome to another Shoulda Boosted. We are now on episode 26, and Mark couldn't make it today. We'll be talking a little bit kind of why, but joining me instead today is Iain, the community killer. So, Iain, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just had a nice Vassal game tonight instead of doing my obligatory painting and had a good time.
Nice. So, I mean, obviously, you're kind of stuck doing Vassal during this time of, the purge and all that. How are you finding it so far?
I was born for this. I have been tabletop gaming for decades. I have been online gaming for decades. I have two kids that I can play with. I'm okay with this for the most part. It doesn't hurt me.
Nice. You're one of the lucky ones, eh?
Well, yeah, I still have a job, which is nice in this economic climate, and I'm still going to work pretty much daily. So I'm all right. I'm surviving quite well.
Oh, that's good to hear. So one thing that is not surviving so well, and is going to be one of our first topics here, was the WTC. So unfortunately, it was announced that it's canceled, just based on when the timing is going to be. You're going to have people coming from all these different countries. Who knows where all these different countries are going to be? They decided to cancel it. So that's the reason why Mark's not here today. He's a little bit not so happy with that. But not only did I think it would be good just to, announce it and make sure that people are aware that this is not happening, but also interestingly, Canada and the United States are dealing with this in two very different ways. So here in Canada, what they said is, sorry, I guess it's canceled. We'll have to do this all over again next year. And that, the people that actually qualify this year are kind of like, well, what the hell? I worked so hard, I got in there, and it's all for nothing now. And then meanwhile, on the US side, they said, well, if you made on this team this year, you're in for it next year as well. So now they're having the same different type of issue over there where some people are saying, well, what about things like the ATC where you're supposed to be earning a way in? Now it basically doesn't do that anymore. So I guess as a pass over to you, Iain, what are your thoughts on that? And, do you think one approach is better than the other?
So I think both of them are two sides of the same sword. Canada is giving everybody an opportunity to earn their way back in, and we cannot say that they aren't going to be looking at the guys that didn't go this year with special credit, because if they made it this year, they should have extra eyes looking at it and an extra bonus to how they look at their application next year. Plus, they get a free application, so you can't forget that. So that's a little bit of a bonus. And the way that the US is doing it, again, I also think that's fair as well. If they made it in, they should be able to get through. So I'm kind of impartial when it comes to it. There's benefits on both sides. There's negatives on both sides. I agree with both. I'm not really sitting on the fence. I think there's good credit from both sides. And I also believe that they should be getting flack from both sides as well, because players aren't going to be in the States, aren't going to be striving to make it into the ATC and really push the agenda where they would have any other year. And with Canada, people aren't really going to get as many chances to be able to push until this pandemic is all finished and cleaned up. So they're going to have to really have a good showing in the events that they take part in.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think they already have a big advantage in what you're saying, that of course they're going to be giving extra credit to those who actually would have made the team for this year. And then as well, because like you said, there won't be as many events. Well, I mean, they're already in a very strong position, and there's not like there's a lot of ground to be lost to other players in the meantime. To me, comparing the two, I think though that Canada's way is much superior. I mean, when you're looking at it, you just can't really decide that yes, we're going to keep these players, because I mean, we've seen the high turnover that year after year. There's players that get burned out if they're in one year, they're not there the next. People that are competitive, they take breaks, they try new factions, and so just saying a big blanket of like, well, no, we're going to keep everybody, you just can't really do that. And then all of a sudden, if you're starting to have some drops, how do you fill those things back in? If you're talking about the ATC where you made as a team, does that team pick who goes back in? Does there going to be a different type of qualification? So I mean, for the people that are upset with it here in Canada, I think, I mean, you just have to realize, like, yes, it sucks. It's not anyone's fault, it's just the way it is. But I mean, you basically have to reset and know that they're going to have a way in. Meanwhile, in the States, I think that really is a mistake, and they really should be saying, like, especially since they have events where they're going to be earning their way in, being, well, look, everything's off. You're gonna have to earn your way back in, and that's the way it is. But do you still think that no, the U.S. did is the right way?
I'm glad that you actually mentioned that because I wanted to touch on that too. And I think it's actually, as you were saying, there is a high amount of turnover in this game. There is a high amount of people that may not be able to make it to Poland next year or wherever the WTC is going to be held. So there are, I'll bet you a colossal next year that there will be at least 1 or 2 spots minimum that will open up for American players to be able to get onto a team. And the smart players like you, me, the skilled players that didn't get their opportunity to go this year and feel like may appear that you're being burned for next year, there will be spots, and they should definitely continue grinding and getting into those advantageous positions to be able to get into those brackets.
Fair enough. Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of hope that they go back on it. They might keep it, but you're right that there will be spots opening up for people to try and still get in. Plus, I mean, who knows? I mean, we were just having 3 teams. All of a sudden, it looked like there's going to be 4 teams, but who knows how it's going to be set up for the next one here. So either way, I mean, a big thing I want to say is this, of course, all these players that would have gone this year, like a tip of the hat to you. I mean, the fact that you didn't go, that sucks, but the fact that you still qualified for the team, that's still a big notch that you can put in your gaming resume.
Yeah, it's a huge feather in your hat as a gamer. Be like, hey, I was chosen for Team Canada. Come at me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now every time I beat Mark and Nathan, now I can be like, oh, WTC player notch now. There's a couple more scalps for me to hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see, that was my tactic. I gave you my scalp early, so you stopped hunting me. That's the way I did it.
You weren't expecting a redlined conservator to run into Striker 2 and then get jackhammered to death. And that created the jackhammer off that you and I both ran back and forth between, what's that mercenary caster's name?
McBain
and Locke.
Talking about convergence, as I use that as a segue to go to our second topic here, and the main one is Aurora2. So Aurora2 is now out, and we have the rules, and a lot of people are kind of not actually talking too much about it. They're liking Aurora1 more. So I thought that'd be good just to kind of like chat about what the rules are, and then what are some of the different lists and tactics that we think that will actually be good for her. So maybe, I'll just quickly cover what the rules are, and then I'll let you have your first say of what you kind of think of her.
Sounds like a plan. Go for it.
Aurora2 is a mercenary warcaster with 7 focus, 18 boxes, speed 7, strength 7, mat 7, rat 5, defense 15, armor 17, so ahead of the curve, command 9 with flight, and she has a gun, which is the Inertial Destabilizer, which is a range 11 AoE 4 POW 13 magical weapon. And I believe this thing has, they both have free fall, both of her weapons. And it says that an enemy model with flight that's hit by this attack becomes knocked down and loses flight for a round. And the other one is the Thermionic Lance, which is a range 2 POW 13, same rule. So not like crazy high stuff, but it's there. She has these battle directives that she can use once during her activation. First one is Ascension Command, which is giving all the models with flight in her command range. They're all going to be, and this is for 1 round, -3 range. So they're all going to be having flying high. So when they're being shot at, the enemy is going to have -3 range for shooting them. Next one is going to be Phantom Protocol. This is going to give those models with flight dodge and reposition. And then Suppression Initiative, which is again for those models with flight, getting dual attack. Now, she has a limited battle group, but that really does mean that she can take anything that's convergence or mercenaries, so lots of stuff in there. She's also repairable. And then getting into the spells, there's Arcane Propulsion, propulsion, which is a cost 2 range 6 upkeep, and target non-huge base war jacks, so no blockaders anymore. They gain +2 movement, and they also get +2 defense and flight, so pretty good. She has Bladed Gale. It's a cost 3 spray 8, POW 13, and this one makes it so models hit, lose flight. There's Hand of Destruction, so it costs 2 range 10 upkeep. Friendly models in this battle group gain an additional die in attack and damage rolls against the target model unit, and then they get rid of the lowest. And then finally Spirit Door, a cost 3 control, and that makes it so basically either she teleports to something in its battle group within 2 inches, or something in the battle group teleports back to her completely within 2 inches. So, and then of course after they move, they can't advance or attack after being placed by it. Finally, what her feat is it's called the Star Strike Calibration, and friendly faction models with flight beginning in their activation in their control range gain +2 speed, and additional they will get +2 to their damage rolls if they have flight, and it'll last for 1 round. So lots of stuff there. Ian, what's your first take on it?
So at the very beginning, the gun looks great. I really like that gun. The inertial destabilizer, I love the name of it. I love that it can knock things down when that if they have flight. The limited battle group, as a mercenary player, you could probably attest to this more than I can. But she really wants to be playing the new Convergence lights, and that's I'll come back to that, but I like her rules overall. I think she's a good caster in a vacuum. She has good speed, high mat and rat as a convergence player. Is going to be hitting regularly and can do combined arms. Arcane propulsion. There's some really good targets for that from a convergence point of view. I like the idea of putting it onto the ground pounder.
Whatever that one is.
Yeah, why can't I remember it? Because you get dual attack on it, so you can like charge up, get extra threat out of it, hit a bunch of stuff with a POW 14 Weapon Master, and then drop a ground pounder for great success. Hand of Destruction is also a really, really good spell. Arc nodes are fairly cheap to get in Convergence, so that's really nice to have. And Spirit Door tactics are aplenty. You always have a corollary with you, so you are always going to have a Spirit Door target if you decide to go in and cut up some stuff.
And a assimilator, that's the jack we were trying to think of.
Thank you. The assimilator. I like the assimilator with her quite a bit.
So this is all sounding pretty positive. Like a lot of people, when I hear about it, it's like, well, she's kind of like a worse Aurora 1. Is that what you see, or do you see a lot of potential in her by herself?
I'm still not going to get to that point. I still don't want to start talking about the negatives on her. I'm going to go with the positives first. I'm going to stay positive right now.
All right, fair enough.
Spirit Door is great. You can get her in there. You can cut up a bunch of stuff with melee, and you can Spirit Door back within 2 inches of your corollary, which is usually hiding behind a building or something. Really good yo-yo tactic. Her feet, again, really, really good. Everything with flying gets +2 speed, +2 damage rolls against anything without flight. So most lists you're going to be getting extra damage on.
Well, even the things that have flight, she has several ways of taking it away.
Yeah, exactly. My biggest issue now, where I think she falls flat, is I don't like the new Convergence lights, which both fly. And I firmly believe that if she was going to be an S-tier caster, those jacks needed to get tuned in a particular way for her to really shine.
Yeah, and so that's definitely going to be a way that we're getting into it. Like, to me, for sure, like, everything on her card says flying, flying, flying. So you want to be taking a bunch of things with flying with her. Whereas with Aurora 1, it's like, well, I'll just be giving you flying. Like that's why you have flying hermits and fun things like that. But I mean, maybe just to start off to try and start transitioning into, we'll talk about like the different types of lists you could be taking her in. What do you think is the best theme and faction to actually be playing Aurora 2 in?
Honestly, I think it's probably going to be Destruction. Clockwork Legion is probably the best. because you can utilize the lights to its most effect. And you want a big battle group, which kind of lends toward destruction initiative as well.
So you think it's a convergence one? It's not going to be a mercenary theme.
As a convergence player, I have to lean toward the convergence themes. Yeah. I don't think Strange Bedfellows is probably where she belongs and where she'll end up. But I think Clockwork Legion has some definite benefits.
So you don't like the idea of doing like Strange Bedfellows, having Gaspy, Hermit in there, and then like even with that, you don't think that those new little jacks, it's not the Tesselators, the Negators? Is that what the new little ones are called?
Negators and Tesselators, yes.
Yeah. You don't think the Negators are worth it even there? I mean, they're only 6 points.
They are only 6 points, and yes, I forgot that they were free in Strange Bedfellows, so I'm going to settle on Strange Bedfellows ultimately as the choice for her. I would never put Hermit with her because she can't make it as fast as what Aurora2 does. I don't like slow Hermits. I like fast Hermits. I like ones with vengeance and reposition and flight, and I'm spoiled because I've been playing Aurora2 quite a bit lately, and Aurora2 doesn't do that.
So what do you think, though, of running her with a bunch of, say, like Tesselators, though?
If Tesselators were better, I would absolutely do that. I think the only thing that they need, the Tesselators and Negators, Tesselators needed at least 2 extra POW, and they would be amazing with her, and she would crank them right up to 11. And Negators needed 2 extra POW as well. They're both POW 10.
Well, kind of, because depending on what you're shooting, the Tesslator goes up already, right?
Yeah, they go to POW 12.
Yeah.
What are you killing with the POW 12 with 4 shots?
Well, the same thing you're killing with the Chargers. And see, like, to me, I think
you cannot mix those together. That is not fair, because powerful attack and 2 shots is way better than having 2 shots with reload 2 that you can't boost. You can boost one thing with.
Well, I think it is when you're thinking of the volume, so that when you're looking at a whole bunch of Chargers, you really can't only do so many because you run out of focus. Whereas when it comes to Tesselators, you just keep on passing it down the line and you do whatever you want with it.
Range 12 versus range 9. POW 12 against situational targets versus POW 12 versus everything. 2 focus to boost everything versus 2 focus to just get your Rat 4. And yes, you do get all the focus and you can pass it down the chain. The damage isn't there though, in my opinion. If they were POW 14 with volume fire and feet, that would be mint.
So this is why I'm thinking that her card is made for Tesselators. So in my mind, when you're first coming in and you might be taking some shots, that's where you have the Ascension command going on, so the -3 range. And then what you're going to be doing is going up, shooting off your shots, repoing back 5 to safety and keeping that distance. And then when they finally are starting to run up to engage you, that's where the last one comes in, which gives you dual attack. So you can actually make attacks even when you're engaged. And so you were talking about not wanting to do a Hermit, but also in here, this is this idea that we're going to keep on picking at you and drawing you in. And even when you engage us, we shoot you up. Well, then you have the Hermit in there, you have the feet in there. She also has her one spell, the Hand of Destruction. And I think between all of those, that POW 10, which you're shooting like, say, like a heavy goes to 12, 14, 16, extra dice dropping the lowest. Like all of a sudden, this stuff is doing some real work. So, I mean, this is all just, of course, like theory crafting in my head, but like just the idea for Tesselators, it seems potentially there.
The Hand of Destruction, absolutely, but you're only going to be able to get on 2 targets. And if somebody is already closing on you, I don't think it's going to be as effective as exciting as you think it is. Plus, there's a lot of, in this meta, there's a lot of anti-shooting that can tech that can be put in. And their speed 7 with a 9-inch reach, that's 16 inches. You're moving up 9, you're backing up. After shooting, you're backing up to a 14-inch.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah, you're still sitting in zone, and most people are going to be in zone. And those, if you're not feeding on the initial volley, there's still going to be a lot of stuff left that's going to be getting into you.
Well, I
I
also kind of
wouldn't.
like the idea that you get to pick what to do with your focus as well, because I mean, if you need to boost a hit, you boost a hit. If you need to boost damage, you go ahead. And if you want to get extra shots, you can do that too. So it seems like they're just so open for, if there's lots of dudes, you just keep on buying attacks. And if there's something you high defense, like it just seems like they're very modular for whatever you need.
And I think that I absolutely agree. They are very good at Swiss Army knifing, but in the generalist term, there are much better Swiss Army knives in this game in comparison. And yes, they are 7 points, and you can't expect the world out of them, but they could have just been that little bit better. Negators, I thought that would have been really, really good with her. However, because they're POW 10 and they only have a half-inch reach, even getting more than 2 with, unless you're threading out ridiculously far. I mean, you got Bloodthirst and you have increased speed. You're only going to get 2, maybe 3 because of that half-inch range. Because you don't want to repo them out of melee range because you have to stick them there for flank.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're probably going to kill something and then repo to the next target for the next thing. But don't you like the idea where you might have like a bajillion of these small little 6-point negators to be in there doing some of the work, and then you have the big heavy hitters behind? You'll have her own heavy that gets to yo-yo in and out, and then I mean, you could always be making the list with Gaspy 4 as well, and whatever big damage you want to be doing there.
I agree with that. Helping out with the Dark Shroud and things like that. And Gaspy is going to be included with every single one of her lists.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, 100%. I mean, the only time that you don't want them is if you're going against a completely undead force or a complete Warjack list.
Even then, I think you still want Gaspy.
I agree. Just to punch that armor.
He's still the best 14-point heavy in the game, so
100%. I don't disagree. My major issue is that when you have to use those negators, you're using 3 of them to kill a heavy, and that's 18 for whatever it is that you're punching.
So with this chatting, are you thinking then that Strange Bedfellows is the theme for her?
Absolutely. Yeah. I misspoke when I said Clockwork Legion or DI.
No worries, no worries. We're not here to judge. We're just here to, nobody can even say anything to us. We're going to be the voices out here, and they're just going to deal with it.
Listen to us or else. Sort of deal.
All right. Are you ready to get really crazy?
Okay. Let's hear the craziness.
All right. My really crazy is, what if you run Aurora2 out of theme? So I don't know if you were part of our group chat when we were talking about this, but one of the other things that have flight that you can take in Mercenaries is Archons.
Yeah.
And you could take a lot of them. So, I mean, like, as an idea of what an out-of-theme list could actually be with her is running Aurora 2 with a Mangler and a Nomad for your yoing and, hitting hard. And then you got 2 Morrowinds, 2 Thamorite Archons, 2 Void Archons. You still have Gaspy 4 with a Shrike because you need things flying. And then you also got Widget and a couple of Power Monkeys for some empowering in there as well. That's a pretty interesting out-of-theme list.
I absolutely agree, and I absolutely love it. I'd love to have Thamorites with the Star Strike calibration. That just seems like so much fun.
Oh, man, yeah, it's like doing work, repoing around. I mean, I really want to try this. I got to get some pieces for me to actually try this, like actually having Aurora 2 come in. But
yeah, seriously.
Out of all the silly, trying to make out-of-theme lists work, this is the one I think might actually
work. Yeah, actually, I 100% agree. Like, if you just put all the Archons and Gaspy in with her, you're good to go.
It turns out that anything plus Gaspy 4 is good, and anything plus Archons are good. So if you just take all the Archons and Gaspy, hey, what do you know?
The Archons with Repo 5, it just seems hilarious.
Yeah, and then hitting harder and just going faster and reducing that range. I think it might actually be there. And then, I mean, the nice thing is, you don't realize that having 2 point in powers like the Powder Monkeys, that's pretty great just to throw in there whenever you need it. So,
can Powder Monkeys empower something that's not Privateer?
Yes, so they can empower anything, but it's the auxiliary attack that has to be Privateer.
Okay. Yeah, that actually seems kind of hilarious. I would probably be all over that. You still need to throw a corollary in there because obligatory COC model or caster.
Do I though? I'm not running it. I'm running with the Mangler, and then Nomad. So I didn't think it'd be worth it with the color. Like, what would be your battle group out of theme?
Out of theme, I'd probably still put a simulator in there for the flight and the dual attack. I guess you wouldn't be doing dual attack too many times though,
Probably
because
not. No.
all of the Archons don't really need it, or they already have it. Yeah, I would probably. The Conservator is also still pretty good. I do like the Flying Mangler a lot. I do. I think it's hilarious. What does that thing threat with the Thresher? It's speed 5.
Yep.
It'll threat 10 with the Thresher, +2 for it, so there'll be 12, and then 14 with the under feet.
Exactly. And then once you're done, you just spirit door it right
Bring
back.
it back. Yep. That actually seems kind of hilarious. It is. I think it's the most viable out of theme list that I've heard of yet.
I mean, all these things having dodge as well. I mean, good luck trying to kill a Morrowind with dodge on it.
You just stationary that thing. I mean, you kill it.
Never. So I guess maybe a part to really be hitting with this Aurora 2 as well is just the way that they're actually selling it. So from what we know right now, they're not selling Aurora 2 as a separate model. It's part of that box where you have to get Hypatia and the Negation Angel.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Hypatia is an amazing model for convergence. She's a POW 11 weapon master that is boosted against flight, against anything that's flying. So tridents, be like, sure, I'll run this thing into a trident all day long.
Yeah, so I mean, the box is always fine if you want to get all the models, but I mean, do you not? I don't know if they're going to continue this or not, but just the idea that they're going to be bundling these together, assuming that they're not going to be selling Aurora 2 separately, do you see that as an issue or?
We play with expensive dolls, and if you can't afford the expensive dolls that you want, you should probably be looking at a different hobby. That's my opinion. You're going to spend $80 on models. Just get the models, and then if you really, really, really don't want the Hypatia and the other angels, sell them off to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to get really bothered by this. I was like, I can't believe they're forcing me to do this, or they're going to be doing this with every single caster. But one of the things I started realizing is that this is almost like a little mini starter box. And one of the things that's a real issue for some of the stores is just actually having all these different products. And so having it so it's just this one is kind of good to go. But I believe you can buy the solo and the unit separately anyway. So out of the 3 different types, only Aurora 2 is tied to this box, right?
That's correct. And again, I'm not that broken up about it. And especially in our area, like in our part of the world, most of our stores don't keep a big stock anyways. We're special ordering in most of our models as it is. So I wouldn't really be too broken up having to order in stuff.
Yeah. Do you think this is something they're going to be doing over and over now then? Or think this is like a one-time thing?
Right now, because of the way that it was received and how responsive PP is with community feedback, I don't see them doing this again because of the little bit of backlash that they had.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish, I mean, if nothing else, they would have thrown like a jack in there, so it actually would have been like a complete starter set type thing that you could have done.
Like a new battle, like the new format of a battle box. That'd be kind of cool, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's an expensive battle box, that's for sure. But if they're going to do a new format like this and they're going to release all new models in one little package that is economically viable, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, fair enough. So I guess the last thing to kind of touch on with Aurora 2 is just really, where do you think is she going to fall in the meta? Now, of course, the meta is kind of weird right now, and I think we both agree that Aurora 1 is going to play a big part.
What meta?
Yeah, exactly. But do you see a spot where Aurora 2 is going to be in a good position?
It's really tough to tell right now. I think she does have a place with some of her builds, her possible builds. She can build something that really clears out hordes, not hordes, as large model count armies. I believe that she does have a build that can definitely cover that. I believe that she can build a list that is hard hitting enough to deal with colossal lists, but I don't know if she has enough for the meta as it currently is and people are list chatting about.
Yeah,
It's
that's the thing.
difficult
There's a
to
lot of
say.
assumptions going on right now about where things will actually go. I mean, it's definitely going to be a world of gas before, that's for sure.
There's no question in that. There will be an absolute Gatsby 4 everywhere, and Nemo 4 a little bit less than Gatsby 4.
So, I mean, maybe along with that, do you think that strange bedfellows with the Auroras are actually going to be starting to scare away the Infernal players because of how they just fly in and kill all your heavies and kill off your solos before you can get too much done?
Yes, I think the extreme threat ranges that are coming out because of these, Infernal players will definitely have to be worried because their early game is going to get thrashed.
I like how, Flame in the Darkness was supposed to be the big counter to Infernals, and then it turned out, no, it's just like a bunch of weird dead and lightning and robot things all working together for some reason.
Yeah, actually, I think Flames of the Darkness is still the one of the best hard counters. It's just the different side of the same coin, where one can control them a little bit better through the Thamurite advocates and using the Hermit effectively, and the hard hitting power of the precursors. You have the Scalpel that is the Strange Bedfellow list, where they can threat forever, and they're living models, so they're going to get paralyzed, and they're not going to be countercharging and things like that from the negation angels.
Yeah, and the thing is, I believe that there's probably still a lot more to be done with Strange Bedfellows. I swear, it seems like every single week somebody completely rethinks a different way to play it, and it says, "Oh wow, yeah, I guess you can mix those things." And yeah, I mean, who knows what we're going to see coming out of this with them?
My two favorite builds are my current list with Aurora 1, and a second. It also the other one that I was kind of brainchilding together is one with a massive amount of Crix infantry,
I mean, there's just,
Mechanothralls.
yeah, there's just so many different things. Like you never see Mechanothralls, but this could actually bring it back in a big way.
Yeah, I mean you just jam for days with those things and just keep running them, just keep throwing out like 4 or 6 units of those things, just keep hitting that clock back over to your opponent and be like, hey, you can either deal with it or you can't.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's Aurora2. We'll see if she actually starts seeing some play and all that. I mean, I think if nothing else, probably one of the biggest things that's going to be holding her back is that if she was really designed to be played with those new lights, a lot of people just won't have those. And so it's probably something that'll be offset much later. And, maybe that'll be good. Maybe that means that later on there'll be an actual flying Convergence Jack or other models that make her better. So, yeah, I think she has an interesting spot right now, but we'll see what happens with her later.
I think in general, Mercs has been getting so much love between Strange Bedfellows and the Convergence models and Riot Quest and the Archons and everything all the way across. I love the content space and the design space that they're exploring right now. Everybody gets toys.
Yeah, it's a really good time to be a mercenary player, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of episode 26 here. Before we go, Community Killer, where can they find your stuff?
You can find me on Facebook. Just Google Community Killer. And I am looking for Vassal opponents right now. So if anybody's looking to get an easy game of Vassal in, I'll walk you through your first game or I'll play with you on your 10th game. Get in contact with me, and I hopefully will get some battle reports thrown together to be able to throw up on the page. So come be content creator with me and we start working on this.
Sounds good. All right. And to everyone out there, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you later. Bye.
See you later.